Today I'm on Wendy, and that's principally because Betty and Bertie had a bath together yesterday, well last night to be honest, or evening shall we say, and they're all dried off and they're just awaiting some protectorant to be put on. As I said previously, sorry, just get my visor closed. Bertie's going to have a service as soon as the parts arrive. But I also am on Wendy because someone asked a question. So we decided between Wendy and Bertie which, if I had to, if it was a sort of desert island thing, mind you there wouldn't be much good on a desert island unless it's a big desert island, what bike would I keep? And now they've asked what would I have if my choice was either Wendy or Betty, and that is no easier than deciding between Wendy and Bertie. Yeah, it's the problem is that of course from speed and reliability they're probably pretty even. I would hope with the Bonneville. I have no qualms about reliability with Wendy. Wendy's lighter, easier to wheel about the garage and stuff, but the Triumph is isn't difficult. The Triumph also costs just about twice as much as Wendy, though of course we've got to remove that price because if we get onto value for money, it's a whole different argument. From what they make me feel like, Betty makes me feel more grown up, but also has a little bit of devil hankering in the background. Wendy Wendy is easily quick enough for what I want. She could easily break all the speed limits that we have in this country. She makes me feel youthful and reminds me more of the bikes I used to ride in my teens. The handling's very similar. It's just very smooth. She's far smoother than Betty. She's quieter unless you stood behind her, so the noise, the exhaust sound from the W800 is absolutely outstanding. It really is, and I keep meaning to do a video from behind, but not got round to it. Oh. The gearbox is absolutely marvellous on Wendy, bit clunky on Betty, but it's about the way they make me feel, and they both make me feel slightly different. you know, at 6'2", I'm possibly a little bit big for Wendy, but I don't care. It's not a small bike, it's just not a big bike. It's very beautiful to look at, I think, and looks more retro than any other bike that I've got, which is strange because she's you know, obviously brand new. Betty is she's a queer one, is Betty. The Triumph Bonneville T120. I think if I were doing a comparison, you know, if I was doing a road test comparison, I would be comparing Wendy to a T100 and not to a T120. What's going on here? Oh, they're all going very slow around there. And the thing about Betty is, well, she makes me feel more grown up. She also, because of that power, that torque, that grunt that she's got as the 1200, it makes me feel a little bit naughty as well. I don't feel 100% safe with Betty when I'm riding Betty. You've got to treat her with respect, whereas the Kawasaki W800 allows you to be really quite naughty down the back roads. She's very compliant, but also feels like she might not be. This is Wendy, of course, I'm talking about, and by that I mean she can get a bit twitchy, but principally because of the tyres, that's all. And I quite like that, which is one of the reasons why I haven't changed the tyres. So Betty, what I find with the Bonneville is that it doesn't always seem to want to comply with what I'm thinking. So I can approach a corner, I can get it absolutely spot on, and Betty goes, no, 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 you've got this completely wrong. And it just keeps you on your toes, and you can do the same corner again the next time. It's set up exactly the same, and she goes round like she's on rails. What I have found with both of them, they both respond very well to the counter steer. And if you don't know what I mean by that, instead of, you know, when people first learn to ride a bike, they think they steer the bike by, you want to go right, you turn the handlebars to the right. Well, I want to say gyroscopic. I know it's not gyroscopic, but the inertia effect is the opposite. If you want to lean a bike, you push the bars slightly the opposite way. So if you're going to the hang on, I've got to think about it. It's much easier to do than it is to think about. So if you go in to the left, you push with your left hand rather than your right hand. And if you don't believe me, if you don't trust to do it yourself on a bike, what I suggest you do is get a bicycle wheel, grab hold of the spindle, take it out of the bike obviously, grab hold of the spindles and get someone to spin it. And just what you don't want to do, you don't want to hold the wheel so that it can't move. Get someone to spin it and just see what happens when you push one side to the other, and you will feel the wheel will start to lean over. So if you push your left hand forward, the wheel will tip to the left as though you're going around a left hand corner, and if you push with the right, it will go around the right. So I call it counter steer. I don't know what the proper name is for it, but I'm sure someone will correct, and no doubt someone's going to say I've got it all completely wrong. But I'm thinking back now to my early days when I used to race, and yeah. So anyway, both bikes, more so Betty, responds really well to that, but not all the time, and it's finding that compromise between the two. So which one would I keep? Oh, that is so let's say I've got Bertie's staying, but then I've got these two. I've got the W800 calf and the Triumph Bonneville T120. One of them's got to go. Which one would it be? I think it comes down more. The types of feelings I get from both of them are very different. They're very different. You know, and it almost matches what people think. You know, people see me on the W800. People look at it, they're not quite sure what it is. The Triumph Bonneville, they know exactly what it is straight away. What they don't think is that it's a Taiwanese built motorcycle with a Triumph badge on it. But they think, because their memories are a little bit clouded, that it's an old bike recreated, still in production, and of course the Bonneville's not. And if you actually stand it next to original Bonneville, they're a million miles apart. Yes, aesthetically from a distance they look similar, side by side they're nothing like. I mean, just size wise, everything. It's difficult, and I'll tell you what I'm gonna say, and it's not so much to do with the motorbikes or even how they make me feel. It's to do with my dad, and my dad was a big Bonneville person, and I think if he's looking down from heaven now and he can see that both his sons both riding around on Bonnevilles, he would be so ecstatic, he would be just so happy. And so for that reason, and that reason alone, I'm afraid it'd be Betty. Sorry Wendy, I hope you're not offended. My father would also love Wendy. He'd really like that, and he'd totally understand. He'd probably think it was sacrilege because he was a bit of an old-fashioned, bigoted sort of person sometimes. But yeah, that a very, very good question, and very, very difficult to answer. Because they're both capable machines. They both fulfill one part of what I seek from a motorbike. But yeah, it would be the Bonneville for something that is not of Wendy's. Nothing that Wendy could do about it. There's nothing she can do about it because she didn't exist when my dad was alive. Well, when he was young. But my dad, he did have a Kawasaki twin. He did have a Kawasaki 400 twin not long before he passed. So, yeah. Yep. But it's got to be the Bonneville. So there you go. Hope that answers your question.